Hey there, and welcome to my channel. My name is Crafty Kathy, and I'm so happy and thankful that you stopped in to craft and spend a little time with me today. I have some gorgeous decoupage projects that are vintage Valentine themed, or they can be winter or everyday decor. I think you're going to like them, and let's jump on in. We're going to start off this video with this frame that I got from Temu probably about a year and a half ago. I keep it in my bedroom and it is in desperate need of some kind of a makeover. I am sick to death of this blue color in my bedroom, and I thought we might just jazz it up a little bit for Valentine's Day. So I grabbed my DIY paint in the color called beadboard. It's my favorite off-white color. It's not so stark and bright and white. And I do want to go with more neutral tones in my bedroom and kind of calm it down a little bit. I ended up giving this 2 full coats all over. Now we're going to do some decoupage, one of my favorite things. And we're going to use this beautiful vintage Valentine picture. I got this from Creative Fabrica, and I'll leave their link down below. Right now they're running a huge sale for the new year, and it's really cheap. I get a lot of my prints from here, and I actually save so much money by having this subscription. They have whatever print you want, and I just print it off on rice paper. Now, my favorite way to decoupage is to use a glue stick because it's easy, there's no messy, wet goop, and I change my stuff up a lot. So when you use the glue stick like this, you can literally just peel it off. If you want it to be more permanent, you can use a permanent glue stick. Now, this one is a permanent glue stick. I get these off of Amazon, and they're in my Amazon shop. I think I paid $4 for 4 of these, and they are permanent, but you can still get these off if you need to. Whereas the purple ones are super easy just to peel your image off. But don't worry, it's not going to come off when you don't want it to. You know what I'm saying? It does stick, and in my opinion, it's the easiest and best way to do decoupage. I'm just using that little white insert that came with the frame. I flipped it over, and you can see it has like some writing on it. And I left that on there just because I thought that would kind of look good beside these guys, because it's just a plain white, you know, nothing beside them. So I thought it would give it a little bit of interest. And because I felt like it needed a little bit more interest, I grabbed this stamp. It's an IOD stamp. It's called Vintage Textures, and it has like a crackle. It's got several different types of crackle. And up in the top left, that kind of reminds me of like the bark on a tree. I'm really not sure what that texture is, but that's the one we're going to use. I cracked open this new thing of archival ink. It's permanent, and I get this at Hobby Lobby. Now, since it's black, I didn't want it to be very stark. I kind of just wanted it to be like in the background almost, and definitely not the focal point. The focal point is that cute little boy and girl. And so I lightly pressed it down. I didn't press it down hard, and I just kind of went in different places all over my picture. Like I was saying, I was just trying to add a little interest, just something different to add something to that blank white area right there. And I want to thank each and every one of y'all for stopping in my way, no matter what it is that brought you to my video. I am so glad and thankful that you're here to craft and spend a little time with me today. I hope everyone had an amazing Christmas and a great New Year. I, for one, am definitely looking forward to some warmer weather. I will be so excited when spring gets here and the weather starts to warm up and we can go outside a little bit more. Guys, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet. And if you're enjoying this video, if you would, just hit the like button, because that really helps me out in the algorithm, and it lets them know that you like my video, and they will share it with others who's never seen my content before. So when I got the last one done, I kind of stepped back and looked at it. It just reminds me of like mixed media where I'm just kind of adding something, and I like the way that that looks. I grabbed my little hand sander and just very lightly went around the edges. It didn't take much, and this fell right off like butter, baby. Now, before I stick my picture back in here, I just grabbed my vintage gold rubbing buff, and I'm just going to put a little bit on my finger and lightly go along the ridges of the picture. Or the picture frame, I'm sorry. If you notice, it has like lovely little divots in it, and then along the bird's wings, it'll just highlight everything and make it a little bit more interesting. And I kind of felt like I went a little bit overboard in a few spots, but I'm going to show you how to fix that too. I'm going to stick my picture right back in this frame, and now I'm going to show you what I do on those areas where I went a little bit overboard. I just put a little bitty small amount on my brush, almost like I'm dry brushing, and just lightly dab over those areas where I felt like it was too much, and it just kind of evens it out, and it tones it down, and it makes it look right. I printed out that exact same picture that I just put in my frame. Actually, I printed out two of them, and I'm just going to wet the end of a very fine paintbrush and go around the image, and I can just tear it as I want. Now, I'm going to put this on some candles. These are battery-operated candles. This is one of the things that I love to do at the change of every season. It just gives a little added something to your room. And this is going to match that picture in the picture frame perfectly and create a gorgeous little vignette. I'm just going to use that same glue stick, apply it down, and then I start in the middle and just kind of smooth it out. Now, I don't know if you can do this on a real candle. I probably wouldn't recommend it since this is rice paper. You don't want to go burning your house down or anything. But on battery-operated candles, it's absolutely easy, and it turns out gorgeous every time. You can do this with napkins too, by the way, and change it up for every season. And people will love these. They'll go crazy over them and think that you paid this big amount of money for it. And it's just a little secret that you can keep and be like, oh, yes, yes, I did. Now, I wanted to top this off with a little bit of that rubbing buff along the top and along the very bottom edge of the candle because I felt like it tied it in and it brought it in with that picture frame and made it like one cohesive little vignette. I'm just going to put it on my finger and lightly go around both of the candles at the top and the bottom. And I want to show you side by side what they look like with it on there and with it not on there. I think it looks better with the rub and buff across the top. You may not think so, but I really do like it. And I love the fact that you can use this for Valentine's Day if you want, or just everyday decor. The next thing that we're going to decoupage is going to be this beautiful wood slice. I love, love, love these rustic wood slices. Now, one side of it was a lot darker than the other, so we're going to use this lighter side. And once again, I'm going to take my trusty beadboard, which is DIY paint, and I get that from Milton's daughter. And we're just going to do 2 coats around the front of this. You don't have to try to be particular or perfect. It's going to be beautiful the way it is, and it doesn't even matter if you get a perfect coat around it. The decoupage paper that I'm going to use here, I got this from Milton's daughter, and it's these beautiful church scenes. I do want to use one of these larger church scenes, and I'm going to do the same thing as before where I wet the end of a small paintbrush, and I'm just going to go around my pattern, and then I'm just going to tear it, because when you tear your decoupage paper, instead of cutting it, It just gives it a more organic look, and it just kind of blends in with the background better. Just trust me on this. And if you don't believe me, just try to cut it one time, and it just makes such a difference when you tear it this way. The first thing that I'm going to do is use some liquid patina to decoupage this on. I do want it to be more permanent than with that glue stick. So I apply just a very thin coat to my whole piece. I lay it down, and I always start off in the center and work my way out. And if it needs a little bit of extra like this one did, I just add it as I go. And then I'm just going to smooth over those edges and make sure that they are down really nicely. If you don't use much of your decoupage product like Mod Podge, or in my case I'm using liquid patina, if you don't use a lot, it won't be wet and goopy and messy, and it's not going to leave wrinkles. I was dying to try this new color that came out from DIY Paint, and it's called Eden. It's a beautiful dark green, and it just reminds me of dark academia. I think it's so pretty, and I thought that it would match really well with the green that's all around the church here. DIY Paint has came out with a few new colors, and I'm dying to get my hands on every single one of them. Now, DIY Paint is my personal favorite paint. It's clay-based, and it just is very different than any kind of paint that you've ever used. In my opinion, it's better than chalk paint, and it takes a lot less to use, so you're actually saving money if you ask me. The next color that I'm going to use is Gypsy Green. It's my favorite green color in DIY Paint. I don't care what it is you put this color on, it makes everything beautiful. Green is probably one of my favorite colors to paint with, and I just think it's so beautiful anyway. And I'm just going right over the top of this Eden just to add the two different green colors to give it that contrast. And all I'm doing is kind of dabbing it with my brush. I went up and around my picture, and I decided to go ahead and go all the way around it because I'm going to cover a lot of that up at the top. But I found that when you're decoupaging a smaller picture like this one on something, that if you kind of blend it in, it just looks more organic that way. Now I'm using a color called Liquid Sunshine. It's this bright yellow, and I felt like if I just kind of dabbed it in there, it was going to look like bushes. And I was right, and it just kind of brightened it up, and it brightened up those greens, and I think that turned out so beautiful that way. Now, I'm no artist by any means. I just like to play around, and that's pretty much what I was doing this day. I was just playing around. I just really needed some kind of a break. I've been working a lot. You know, I'm a nurse also, and I work in a facility with folks that are developmentally disabled, and I love my job. We've been doing a lot of training recently, so I've been doing a lot of hours, and crafting is definitely an escape. Now, this red is called making powder. I've never even used making powder before from DIY Paint. It's basically just like, I think it's a pigment color, and it's probably clay-based because her paint is clay-based, and I'm assuming that it's kind of like a clay powder. Now, I may not be 100% correct on that, but that's kind of what it felt like to me. So it's very pigmented because DIY paint in general is very, very pigmented because it is made of clay. It's not like any other chalk paint you'll use. And I just kind of started using my finger and dabbing it around. And I felt like it was kind of turning in to look like, you know, flowers mixed in with all that yellow. I was even adding like a squirt of water here and there just so that it would kind of blend in. Then I took this khaki color, and I believe that this is faded burlap. but don't quote me on that. And I just used a tiny little dab of it just to give a little something. Like I said, I was mostly just playing around to see what I could create here. And I really think that this church is kind of coming to life and starting to just really tell a story, you know? It's kind of starting to remind me of an old country church, like on the back roads in my hometown. You guys know I'm from Tennessee, and there's a lot of little, country churches out in the middle of nowhere that literally do look like this, that are surrounded by nature and beauty, and it's just so pretty. And it's such a feel of peacefulness when you come upon one of them. Now this color is crinoline. It's kind of like a creamy beige, and I'm just adding a little bit around the top, and I just wanted to add that to give it a little bit of light, really, so that it could have some more dimension and depth. And I'm just using like an old paintbrush to do it. Now this is Petal Pusher. It's a perfect color to match in with the blue that's the sky over the church here. So I just kind of added that onto my little dauber or dabber, whatever you want to call it, and just kind of went around the top. And then I went back with that old brush that I was using a few moments ago, or the same type of brush. It's a clean brush. And then I just even like used a baby wipe and kind of blended. Like I said, I was just playing around. I'm no artist, but I just wanted to kind of play around and see what I could do. I grabbed my TDS transfers. Now, my friend Brandy actually makes these herself, and she has a channel called The DIY Struggle. That's what TDS stands for. And I love her transfers. Not only are they very affordable, but they have very relatable pieces, like these two small mushrooms with the little frog under them. And I thought, how cute would that be, just kind of right in the front of the picture here, just to give it a little something something. And another reason why I love her transfers is because hers has wording. Now, I do like my IOD transfers, don't get me wrong, but I love the fact that hers has words. Like you'll notice here in a second, I add the word blessed to this because it just felt right. And I like my pictures to have words instead of just being the picture itself. And you see she's got all these different words like family, joy. And this did come out at Christmas time, but a lot of the pictures that are on this can be used for like winter decor also. And so it's very easy to use. A lot of times, instead of using the tool that she sends you, I can just use my fingernail and rub that carrier sheet because these are such high quality that it comes right off on there. And then I just took like a little cup holder hook and put it on the front because I can use this to put my keys on or whatever. And the wood was so soft, I used these little sawtooth hangers that I get from Amazon, and I just like pushed it in with my fingers. And this just turned out to be the cutest little key holder. I definitely need to change up and put some kind of a wreath on my front door. So I'm going to repurpose this one that I had previously made, and I took everything off of the back. We're going to use the other side of this, and I'm going to use my color beadboard. Now, in case you wonder why I use beadboard a lot when I'm decoupaging, if you use a very light color, I like to use white when I'm decoupaging because it will make your image just really pop. If you don't believe me, do one with a darker color and the same picture with the white, and you will see how your image pops. I grabbed that beautiful pink color called Petticoat Pink, and I'm going to put that on the bottom half of my sign. And every time I hear the words Petticoat Pink, I think of Gone with the Wind, where Rhett buys Mammy the petticoat, and he says, "Let me see your petticoat." And she says, "Oh, you's bad, Rhett. You's bad." And she steps back and starts giggling. I love that movie. Now, at Hobby Lobby, in their woodpile section, they have all these little signs, and this one is normally $3.99, but you can get it half off, so it's just $2. It says "Home is where the heart is," and I felt that that would be very appropriate on a front door. I'm going to use my very watered-down Waverly Antique Wax. Now, I have to say this every time I use it. I only have about 10% of the actual wax in my bottle. The other 90% is just water because I like mine to be very, very watered down. It just looks better in my opinion, and it's just a personal preference. Now, I'm just putting a little bit on a baby wipe and rubbing it in. I don't stay on this very long because I actually change this up in just a minute. I took the petticoat pink and just kind of rubbed it in with my finger. That way I could get that heart shape and not mess up the lines from where the writing is. I was not happy at all with the way that this was looking, so I was like, oh, we're going to have to do something here. And I just took a Sharpie and made like little stitches all around the heart because in my opinion, I thought that it would just give it that little something that it was needing. And this is how my mind works, guys. After I finished the stitching, I thought, hey, what if I go along the outer edges with this Sharpie and just really make these words pop? Because I thought that it would, look better and just really give it that little something that it was missing. I went ahead and went all over all the letters, and immediately I didn't like it. Not every project that we do is a home run, and this one was just really irking me at this point, and I didn't know what to do, and I thought maybe I should go over it with black and just really make the wording pop. So I took black velvet. It's my favorite black color from DIY paint, and I'm going to use it as kind of like a stain. You saw that I just put a little bit of it down all over, just kind of dotted it on, and then I used my baby wipe to rub it in all over. Well, I still wasn't happy with the way it looked, but I thought to just kind of set it aside for a minute and get my mind on something else because this wasn't exactly going the way that I wanted it to. So the next thing that we're going to do is very carefully take off that masking tape and look at that beautiful, perfect line. And we're just going to go over this with our big top. Now, it is a sealer. I put way too much on there. It just kind of went bloop and squirted out everywhere. But that's okay because we need to seal this paint. Since DIY paint is clay-based, it does need to be sealed because it can be reactivated with water or if more paint touches it. And I wanted this to be sealed in and be perfect and ready for the next step. Now, this is another one of those vintage Valentine images that I pulled off of Creative Fabrica. I think there was like 20 different images, but this is just one example. There's thousands, and you can pull up whatever you're looking for, and it's just great because I love vintage images anyways, and there's a zillion million of them on there, and I'm not kidding. When I print anything off of my printer, I go over it with the Rust-Oleum Clear Matte. Now, it is a protector because since this came off the printer, those colors will run if anything liquid hits it. And see, I'm putting liquid patina down here, and I definitely would have had this all over the place if I wouldn't have done that. It would have smeared my picture after all my hard work. So what you do is use that Rust-Oleum Clear Matte. You spray it lightly, let it dry, and you do that 3 separate times. Just barely spray it, no big deal. Let it dry and do that 3 times. Now, like I was saying, I used liquid patina, and once again, just easily decoupage this picture on there. I put down a little bit of liquid patina on the heart, because I got the bright idea to add a little bit of this really bright red glitter to make my heart stick out. And I got it exactly how I wanted it by just going over that with my little brush so that the glitter would just stay where I wanted it to stay. Now back to the wood sign. At this point, I put down some liquid patina and I thought, hey, let's just put some of that red glitter on the heart because it would look better than the pink. It would be a little bit of a pop of color and it would match the little heart that she's holding. I got that glitter all up under my fingernails and I hate that feeling, absolutely hate it. And then the Dollar Tree sells these little small pieces of wood that they call biscuits. I put 3 pieces on the back of this sign so that it would kind of pop off of the main sign and look a little 3D. I just used hot glue to put these down. And I still felt like it just wasn't doing it for me. I just couldn't get that, feeling that I wanted. You know what I'm saying? So I took this frame. I got this at a thrift store. It was just 50 cents. And it's just a plastic heart frame. And I thought, how cute would this be if I framed out the little boy and girl? Now, this is kind of going way overboard for a sign to go on the front door. But hey, it is what it is. Like I said, you don't always knock it out of the park with every project you do. And I'm no different. I'm just like you guys. I have good days. I have bad days. And I was really sick this day and nothing seemed to be working right for me. I took just the leaves off of some hydrangeas that came from Lord knows where, who knows. And I was just kind of gluing those down here and there on my picture. And some way my camera must have got kind of knocked down. I'm sorry that you can't see the whole picture here. But I'm taking these red hydrangeas and I think I had 5 little bunches of them. And I'm just placing them in various spots on my sign close to those little green leaves. That way it would fill up the space and it would look like it's supposed to be there. I kept adding these until all of my leaves were gone. I didn't have many. If I would have had more, I felt like it would have looked better because you can fill in all those, like gap areas and it just looks better. And you don't have to put so many flowers on it, And so once I had used up all of my hydrangeas, I didn't have any other flowers that remotely looked good with this. I don't have a lot of red flowers, period. So I just used some greenery, and this is the ones that come from Walmart. And I'm just kind of going around. I had popped the little pieces off, and I just kind of went around and added them here or there, anywhere where I felt like I just needed to cover up some space. And at this point, it does not matter what I was doing. I was not happy with this sign. I don't know where. For me, it just went south, but I didn't like it. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do? So I felt like the heart needed a little something extra because it just looked plain, right, compared to everything else. And so I just used like some puff paint to kind of outline it. I went around it with my black puff paint. And I just wasn't, this just wasn't one of my favorite projects. It doesn't look bad by any means, but it's just not what I was imagining in my mind. And I know you guys have those days. Some days the simplest project that you think is going to look like crap turns out to be the cutest little project. And then when you have these big elaborate plans in your mind, they turn out to be not quite what you had planned. But hey, it's still going on my front door. I took all this time to make this thing. You better believe it's going on my front door.
She thinks I'm a little lazy. I think she's a little crazy. We like summer and we like spring. Watching wrestling in the ring. She ain't shy.
If you enjoyed today's video, would you please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for coming and watching my video, And I'll see you back here next time, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. And if you did enjoy today's video, if you're on a phone or tablet, you can just click on this other video that has similar content. It'll take you there in just a minute. You can also just click on my face right here and it'll subscribe you to my channel. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'll see you guys next time. God bless you and your families.